Well, hello there, partner. Go on and hang up your hat, grab yourself a whiskey, and pull up in the easy chair. We're coming off the range of 9 to 5s with a whole herd of news stories that we've been steaming over like a cow patty in the Texas heat. As they say, the chickens are finally coming home to roost. And we're here to ruffle some feathers and ensure accountability ain't just a concept, it's reality. It's that time where the day's drama casts its longest shadow. So let's light a candle to the chaos of current events, the whirlwind of politics, and the tangled webs of corruption that we find ourselves entwined by. It's time to ramble our way into the twilight. Welcome to Sunset Rants.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Sunset Rants. I'm your host, Biddy. I'm here with Dee. What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Hey. Oh my God. How cool was that video just now? That was really, really cool. That right there is like America, like ingenuity, getting it done, figuring it out for the town. I love that. That was so cool. But yeah, so if you guys want to follow the show, as I always say, you can go on X. That's the real Roma_AK. You can follow us if you like. Elizabeth213A is mine. I forgot to put the A back. Anyway, and D Cynical Latina on X as well. And you can go to the Q&R code at the top of the screen. That'll bring you right to our website that has all our socials, that has gives you the ability to join the Discord if you like. If you'd like to contribute to the show or anything, they have merch, they have other ways to do that there, and it has all our shows on there for you to check out. So definitely go check that out. Share the show with your friends, like, comment, do all the things, because it really helps the algorithm and everything. And by the way, it's Groundhog Day, so happy Groundhog Day. Unfortunately, it's not so happy because, well, Punxsutawney Phil, I haven't checked all the rodent meteorologist, but I know Punxsutawney Phil said we're gonna have 6 more weeks of winter, so we didn't need him to say that. We know it's freezing outside. But in the interest of thinking about deja vu and Groundhog Day, we're here again. Government shutdown.
Yes, we are. So fun.
I know.
Yay. So we're starting with the Hill, and GOP faces divide on ICE reforms as House struggles to end shutdown. So Republican lawmakers are battling one another over what reforms to make to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, so ICE, and other federal agencies as the House gets set to vote on legislation to end a partial government shutdown triggered by the deaths of 2 U.S. citizens in Minneapolis. The House is expected to vote Tuesday on legislation approved by the Senate, and at the end of last week, after Democrats in the lower chamber said they would not agree to provide the votes for the measure to pass under suspension of House rules. That would have required a 2/3 majority vote. So Speaker Mike Johnson expressed confidence Sunday that the bill would be passed in the House by Tuesday, but he faces a challenge in rallying his party around the rule vote, given his tiny majority. The package would fund much of the government through September, ending a partial shutdown that began Saturday, but the bill will only provide a 2-week stopgap for the Department of Homeland Security, which is at the center of the funding fight. That means lawmakers will only have a few days to negotiate a list of immigration enforcement reforms demanded by Democrats. Some Republicans are hoping to quell public backlash to the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis by adopting reforms such as de-escalation training for ICE officers. I mean, that's stupid. Senate conservatives, however, are accusing their colleagues of being cowed by Democrats. They want them to instead go on the offensive by accusing Democrats of undermining law enforcement and pandering to their liberal base. The strong public reaction to the deaths of Good and Preddy emboldened Democrats last week to take a hard line against a Homeland Security appropriations package, which then delayed a major funding package and triggered the partial government shutdown. Some Republicans are now open to demands by Democrats to stop roving ICE patrols, to require search warrants for immigration enforcement officers, and establish a code of conduct governing use of force. Yeah, here we got a bunch of quotes. I guess Johnson suggested Johnson also suggested Sunday a willingness to negotiate on some of the Democratic demands. I don't understand why. Let's see. Senator John Kennedy also dismissed the reforms demanded by Democrats as non-starters. He expressed doubt that Democrats and Republicans will agree to any deal to fund the Department of Homeland Security in the next several weeks. I just, a lot of this is a lot of back and forth from Democrats and Republicans and quotes that they had, but basically at the end of this, it just says they say immigration enforcement will not be affected if Homeland Security funding expires later this month. I don't know. I just think that they grabbed on to these two deaths that, we all saw. And sure, the left side of things chooses to see these deaths in a certain light, and they will never agree that these people I don't want to be insensitive, but I mean, clearly we saw Renee Good. She revved her car, turned the wheels, and ran over the ICE officers. She was there to obstruct, period. Mm-hmm. And the terrible thing is that the leftists are still pushing she was just a mom and she's just blah, 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 blah. And they make a whole bunch of excuses for her. Unfortunately, we're very divided. Also with Preddy, he was clearly out there. There's videos of him 3 days before, and you could see that he had the gun in his back pocket, which again isn't illegal, but it shows that he was fighting with officers. He put his hands on officers and they just let him go. And I think if he would have been arrested there and charged, none of this would have happened. And these are people that were willing to go out of their way to obstruct. Both of them were part of organizations to obstruct. Right. And so am I happy that they got shot or killed? No, I'm not. But at the same time, they made their bed and they ended up laying in it, And so it is very unfortunate, but their two deaths compared to all the deaths and like SA and attacks that American citizens, women, have had to endure because of illegal aliens, drunk drivers, there's all kinds of accidents. Everything that we've had to endure, which doesn't even touch on, the other stuff, loss of wages, loss of jobs, loss of housing, all that, the fraud, we've lost so much to enable these people. And I think it's time that we stop using these two examples of Americans that chose to obstruct and prop them up as heroes to try to impede our laws. Mob rule doesn't rule the law. The founding fathers were very, very, very adamant about that. And they were also, we cannot let these two small examples of disobedience. I don't even know how to put it, of Americans dictate the law for everybody else that wants these people removed and wants the law of the land to be upheld. So
yeah, I mean, I find it really funny too. They will champion people that do this stuff to obstruct justice because they feel like they're standing up for rights. They're standing up for the people who don't have a voice. They're standing up, right? But then those same people, the media and everything that support them, the people at the Grammys with their virtual signaling and they will not say anything about the people at January 6th. Whatever their reasoning for going there, a lot of people at the time, and we still do feel that there are people out there that are doing really criminal things to sway elections, to do other kind of stuff. And people went to the Capitol, the People's House, and said, we want to find out what's going on. Stop saying that there's no standing in all of these cases, that with all of these whistleblowers and all this other kind of stuff. But yet they were treated like criminals. 1,600 people were put in prison, even people that just walked through or were just standing around, So they're never consistent with their crazy. When they scream and yell about one thing, they contradict another thing, always. So how can anybody sit there and really support them? That's why their support is dwindling, and they need to use public figures like celebrities to promote this crap, in order for it to continue the steam. And they need to edit things, and they choose their words wisely when they report, so that way it's not technically lying. Some cases they do mess up, and then the media outlet gets sued, but they're very careful about the things they say and how they say it, because they know people will take it and run, especially with headlines and all this other kind of stuff. But yeah, it's crazy too. And I feel like a parrot because this is what everybody's saying, but it is really true. We're here again with the government shutdown. Why? It involves illegal aliens that were allowed to flood this country. And it's either about their benefits, whether or not they get to stay, whether or not they get to vote, because we're talking about not about whether or not they get to vote, but the fact that we're not going to ask for voter ID. We got the SAVE Act, in question. So, there's all of that. And it always seems to come back to this. And at what point do the people that actually are still planning to vote Democrat look at it and go, wait a minute, why do they keep trying to defund everything, put people in the poorhouse, force people to lose their jobs, all this other, not be able to feed their family, all other kinds of things, that government programs that need to run, that people depend on, just so that way people who came here illegally get to stay and get all these taxpayer funded benefits. That's exactly where we are. There's a couple of things okay, so these are some of the demands. They want make ICE agents carry proper identification. I don't know if I have a problem with that, them having identification. I didn't think about it too much to say whether or not that can aid in possibly doxing, because we have to worry about people that are in positions of power that we need to look into, look at, everything that's going on in Minneapolis. And we think about, the sheriff, what he knows, what the governor knows, what the mayor knows, all. So that may be a reason why they don't carry, you know what I mean? The mask thing, that's not happening. They better not allow that to happen, because they're setting up checkpoints. The people are setting up checkpoints in Minneapolis to stop cars to see if they're ICE agents or if they're, have any relations to anything, ICE related. So if they're already doing that, you want them to have their faces shown now?
No, and I think that goes back to the IDs as well. I think that it is a fundamentally bad idea to give these people any kind of information on who these agents are, just because that's the whole reason why like the whole thing with Don Lemon happened, because the pastor was a federal agent, and who knows if he was even involved in any of the ICE, or maybe he's retired. I don't know. I know there's information out there. I heard something about it this morning, but it's still, they decided to bust through the church when he was giving a sermon because he was a federal agent. And if they're willing to do that in such an open space, they're calling for their children to be harassed. Like these people are deranged, they're demented, and I don't think they need any kind of access to who these federal officers are, because they're purposely trying to intimidate them so that they don't do their job. And that's what they're acting, and like their rallying cry is doing that. So I would say that all those things are completely off the table, all of them. I don't think we should budge on anything, because at the end of the day, our laws are being enforced. And our laws.
What about like the body cam, you think?
Body cams are fine, you know, like body cams are fine. Like release the footage. You know, I don't think they should be getting warrants or have to provide warrants.
It's like, who are you showing these warrants to? These random citizens that are like, I want to see your warrant. Is that what it's for? Because like, if you have any kind of power, you should be able to see that all of the diligence has been done.
When you're an illegal alien, and it's possible that they might have, you know, record of some of these people, especially if they have a criminal record where they could draft a warrant with their information. But since a lot of these people are not in the system, again, a lot of them haven't committed any like misdemeanors or any kind of crimes per se. But they came into the country illegally. That's a crime.
Right.
So they're criminals, whichever way you look at it. They're not in the database. How are you going to issue a warrant for someone that doesn't exist? So,
and I will even concede to say that they were swindled by the Democratic Party. Like some people, I will concede to say that they were under the impression that they were welcomed here.
Yeah.
They were, because they came in, they didn't have resistance. They go to these sanctuary cities, they get welcomed in, they get given care managers to coordinate everything for them, getting all their proper paperwork going, getting the kids into school, getting them housing, getting them food benefits, getting them insurance. So if you went to a country and you didn't speak the language and you didn't really know, and you saw all these people going there, and you're like, wow, they're letting people in, there's a pathway for me to get in, I'm going. And you go, and then they go, hey, come on, go, you're gonna go on this bus and you're gonna go over there. And then the people are standing at the bus and they go, hey, come on, all right, you're gonna go over there, we're gonna help you out, what would you think? Like, seriously, like looking at it in a serious sense, like some people may have knew more than others and knew that they, you know, were going under the radar. But like, really, the Democrat Party and all of the people in these states, these local politicians, they betrayed this country.
Yeah.
They committed treason against the American people.
Yeah.
And they made people believe that it was okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's like, hey, you've got a very clear choice to make. You know, you're not welcome. You know, the process, if you are caught, is going to be. I don't think it's necessarily
like you can't come back.
Everybody, it's going to be as dramatic as you know, being arrested, but you know, the fact that you're going to be taken out of the country and removed, either ways. Your family is going to be upset, you know, and then you cannot come back, you know, opposed to like self-deporting, which I think we're already at like 2 or close to 3 million people that have self-deported, you know.
Some people from Minneapolis too, I heard.
I think it started at like $1,000 that they were going to get. And I think they said that they would give them up to like $3,000 or $5,000. I don't know, but take the money and get the hell out, dude. And then file legally and come back into the country, you know. I think that's
like how many of them are getting promoted this information too? Like, are they on X watching all of these things? Are they even promoting this on the news that they're watching, that this is available to them? When they talk to these care coordinators and these local politicians that are telling them, we're going to give you ways to get around this, don't worry, we got you. Like, do they even know that these things are on the table? Do they even know the full story? They could. I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate just a little bit, because I feel like that's what a lot of things in media and this kind of hyperpolarization and this division of our country that's what happens because people are just so over here and over there. And
Yeah.
there's no talk about how we're going to understand what's going on. And I really think, like, how do we get to tell these people, like, hey, if you leave now, you get money and you get to go home, and you may be able to apply for citizen later on. If you don't, you're not gonna be able to come back.
Yeah, it's pretty upsetting, and you know, I don't think that regardless of their feelings and emotions, like that doesn't shape our laws. Again, you know, remember that like years ago they deported that one little boy and it was such a media sensation and everybody wanted to see that kid deported. And they deported the child.
Because the media was behind it.
You know?
Yep.
And so I think at the end of the day, we need to focus on our laws, and we cannot negotiate with the Democrats on these things that are ultimately going to get federal agents doxxed, harassed, and possibly killed.
Worse. Yeah.
And so we need to pass the SAVE Act. It has to be done. Illegal voting is illegal. Shut up, man. Pass the SAVE Act. We need to have that reinforced into our laws, because clearly some people don't understand that illegal shouldn't be voting, and that there needs to be consequences for them voting if they are caught. So we need to cement our laws into place. And if that's going to take a government shutdown, if that's going to take Democrats not getting what they want, then so be it.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of things that are getting close to a point of no return, why don't we talk about this next story here? Coming to you from the New York Post, detransitioner wins. This is huge, you guys. Wins $2 million case against New York doctors who pushed double mastectomy. Do you know? Just think about that for a second, how big that is when you think of precedents. Okay. And in New York, of all places. Okay. A 22-year-old woman who identified as a boy in her teens won a $2 million decision in a landmark lawsuit against New York doctors accused of pushing a double mastectomy on her when she was a minor. Fox Varian had the life-altering surgery when she was just 16 years old, getting approval from a psychologist and a surgeon, both of whom a jury found liable of medical malpractice on January 30th, the Epoch Times reported. Varian, who's now 22 and considered a detransitioner, was awarded $1.6 million for past and future pain and suffering, which that means the court acknowledges she's going to have a lifetime of pain and suffering, and an additional $400,000 for future medical expenses. I got the chills all over, you guys. It's not the number. It's what they have, what the court has awarded and why. They are acknowledging that the transition has its faults, has its side effects, has its things that is going to affect you your entire life. Okay? In the first detransitioner malpractice lawsuit in the nation to go to trial and win. Okay. Psychologist Kenneth Einhorn and surgeon Simon Chin were held responsible in Westchester County Supreme Court in White Plains for ignoring standards of care and procedural guardrails by pressing the minor into addressing gender dysphoria with permanent surgery, the jury decided. Lawyers for Varian pointed the finger at Einhorn, saying he drove the train and was putting the idea in Fox's head that she needed to change her gender with surgery, according to the report. Varian's mother, Claire Deacon, testified that she was against the surgery but consented to it out of fear her daughter would commit unaliving, according to the outlet. Quote, this man was just so emphatic and pushing, and I felt like there was no good decision. That is, okay, I'm not even gonna. I think it was a scare tactic. I don't believe it was malice. I think he believed what he was saying, but he was very, very wrong, she said. God bless her for being so calm in saying that. The so-called top surgery left the girl physically ill, deeply unhappy. She said in court papers reported by the Epoch Times, in which she's since been sealed, the jury was not asked to rule on the ethics of gender-related surgical procedure for minors, but instead whether the medical professionals took appropriate steps before suggesting the threshold crossing measure. Okay, now that is a little bit of a caveat. Lawyers for Einhorn and Chin argued that Varian lived allegedly happily as a male for several years after the 2019 surgery before filing the lawsuit in 2023. They further claimed Varian first came to them using male pronouns, verbally identified as a trans male, and that she presented the idea for chest surgery. The doctors should have ensured Varian did not have other psychological conditions such as depression, ADHD, autism, or body dysmorphia before suggesting the surgery, her lawyers argued. The trial comes near 1 year after President Trump began restricting gender-based medical intervention for minors with gender dysphoria. All told, 28 date transitional lawsuits are now in different stages of legal proceedings across the United States. So yeah, again, this is huge. I found a couple, somebody named Soren Aldaco, who has not won her lawsuit, and the major parts of it either have been dismissed or still unresolved in the courts as of early 26. But she is appealing, and that hearing is scheduled for February 11, 2026. And there's no public decision yet from the Texas Supreme Court. So that's one that's kind of, may be on a good look right now because of this case, maybe. There's also Isabel Ayala, she's not won her lawsuit. There's no credible report that her case has been resolved in her favor or that the court has ruled fully for her. Her lawsuit is still part of an ongoing litigation and public debate. She filed a civil lawsuit in October 2023 against American Academy of Pediatrics, several healthcare providers, alleging civil conspiracy, fraud, medical malpractice related to her gender-affirming care. Then there's another one, who we actually do have a video, if you don't mind pulling that up, Brian. This is Prisha Mosley, and let's just hear what she has to say real quick. It's about a minute long.
For a lot of people, it starts as social contagion. This is being promoted by the media and by Hollywood and by corporations and by academia and online. It's everywhere on social media. So it's easy for a child who's distressed or uncomfortable with themselves or their bodies or struggling with something mentally to come to the idea that it's because they were born in the wrong body. And as soon as this child or their parents says anything even close to that in a professional medical setting, the so-called experts come with medical promises and magical cures for this mental distress that's being described. And as we know, there is no surgery that can be performed that fixes mental distress. We've in fact already done this to women in the form of hysterectomies, calling them crazy and telling them that removing their uteruses will make them feel better. Well, now we do it with young women and little girls' breasts and other body parts. It's gruesome.
Appreciate you actually
she basically nailed it on the head. I mean, that's what it is. It's just all the support. And as you mentioned before, of that I mean, this is like going back to the last story we just covered, when the media was behind looking for that little boy and they found him in that closet and everybody was calling for him to be deported. The media, everybody was behind him. There was no celebrities big time, like as a unit coming out and condemning it and all this other kind of stuff. People are influenced, not everybody, but people are. And when you make something into like, oh, this is normal. 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 And then you have like all of these people coming out saying that they're doing it and like you're going to feel so much better and you might die if you don't do it. It's going to make you like, they really went all in on this. And so many kids were caught in the crossfire of it. So many parents has had to worry about their kids being taken away from them if they didn't. So I mean, this is like I said, this is a huge case. I can't believe that she won, and I really hope that this has an effect going forward on other cases. They said there's 28 going on right now. Hopefully there's going to be more after hearing about this. Maybe it'll encourage some people to speak out that might not have, you know, wanted to before, thinking that there was, you know, they were just going to be embarrassed and nothing would come of it. You know, because in some of these cases before this happened, before Trump came, some of them, you know, they were countersued for legal fees. So, you know, you got to think about these kind of things too when you bring a lawsuit.
Well, the thing that's really sad is that, you know, these people get hyped up on this idea, right? This idea that you're going to be able to transition. And like, for example, myself, I would get, you know, a mastectomy, I would get a hysterectomy, and what do they call it? The bottom surgery, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't remember what they call it, but you know, they strip off
gender reassignment
of your arm to be able to make a you know, a baby. And so you have this like horrible scar because they literally peel all the skin off your arm to a phalloplasty or something like that. This is what they call it. But you know, you have these you're going to be left with these horrific scars on your body when they do the breast removal. I guess unless you have a very, very top quality surgeon, you can have, you know, like a male chest that looks normal. I guess they insert like pecs and all that stuff, like the surgery that Ellen Page had. Hers looks fantastic. Well, she has a lot of money. You know, you see these surgeries from these other, you know, regular doctors, and they look terrible. They got a scar running all the way down, all the way across, you know, their nipples look all weird. They still, some of them still look like they have just really little boobies, you know. And so you're sold this dream, and then you look down, you're butchered, you know. You look down, maybe they made you a pee-pee, you know, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. When initially they started doing these surgeries, literally what they would make you was like an inch long, and it still didn't work. So I mean, it's very unfortunate. Now I have a morbid, just weird curiosity for medical stuff, so I've watched these surgeries being done from male to female and female to male, and there's no way that like, even me, right? I might be an idiot. I don't know anything about medicine, but like, it just looks horrendous. Like, how are they making these things function, right? And I feel like male to female, okay, they could give you a neo vagina and make it look pretty and whatever on the outside on some people. On others, it doesn't work. You end up with tons of infections. For males going to females, since they have to shorten the urethra, sometimes they end up with incontinence. So, you know, there is a lot of people that have major problems after these surgeries where, okay, they wanted to be able to have a functioning sex life. Okay, well, you threw that out the window. Never again will you ever experience any kind of gratification or anything like that. It's really sad, right? Especially like Jazz Jennings, who was extremely young when she had the surgery, probably never experienced a normal orgasm or a sexual relationship with anyone. And, you know, we saw the video where the mom was saying that if she didn't put the spacer or whatever the hell those things are called, that she was going to stick it in, shove it in herself. And it's like, dude, it's abuse, you know? So they end up with that wound closing back up, and then they can't even use it anymore. So they went through all that genitals for something that doesn't function, and now it closed up, and it's very traumatizing. But the point that I was trying to get at before I started rambling on, it is gross, Rebel. Like, it is gross. It's really sad and it's gross. So you have all these surgeries, right? You changed your mind. Right? They told you, oh, everything is reversible. You changed your mind. You know what? I don't want to do the hormones. I was listening to this case from this man that turned himself into a woman and had the bottom surgery. And he was like, you know what? This really sucks. I changed my mind. He had a lot of problems. He was incontinent. He was very young when he had the surgery. And now he's got to wear diapers forever. So he's like, okay, well, I decided to get off the estrogen, right? The HRT. He can't, because if he stops using the hormones, then his libido kicks back in, and now he doesn't have his parts. So he has to keep taking it so that it squashes his libido, so that he's not going insane. Like, this is fucked up. So then they go to their doctor and they tell him, hey, you know what? I want to detransition. Zip, nada. Like you're ostracized from that community you had when they welcomed you into the LGBT community plus IA, whatever. They welcomed you with open arms, but when you want to leave or you say, I'm going to detransition, it's like you're a freaking vampire. Like, get thee away from me. Don't you dare tell your story. You're going to scare others, blah, 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 blah. And now they have nowhere to go. The medical community, there's no treatments for detransitioning. The doctors, they don't want to touch you with a 10-foot pole once you say you want to detransition. So they'll help you get there, and they will do everything possible. Ignore everything that's medically recommended, therapy, anything.
They don't want the data.
Surgery. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as you want to switch sides, there's no help for you. No, Medicaid won't cover it. Your insurance won't cover it. So you're basically ostracized. Yep. So, I think it's very important that people that decide to detransition, first off, that there should be more specific guidelines for people that want to transition. Make sure that this is something that they really want. Get proper therapy, that they just don't decide, hey, I'm actually just a lesbian, and whatever. But when they do have this surgery and they regret it, that there's options for them, because they're going to need a lot of counseling and they're going to need a lot of support, because you done mutilated yourself for the rest of your life. And if you're young, that's a long rest of your life to live with and have all these problems, and they still don't have all the data on HRT. HRT can kill you over the long term, because the studies that they pulled out were how women taking hormones for women affect women, not men taking hormones for women. They didn't do it on the opposite sex. They don't have that data. So I just think it's awful. I hope that all these people win their lawsuits and it becomes more public knowledge, because it's not such a simple decision. If you can get a tattoo, if you can't get a tattoo without a parental consent, you shouldn't be able to chop off your genitals.
Yeah. And why don't they let you get a tattoo? Because you're too young to say what you're going to have for the rest of your life. But yeah, hey, Funkmaster General, what's up? Welcome. Thank you so much. I saw he gifted about 10 memberships. Thank you so much.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Really, really appreciate your support, man. That's awesome.
Oh, Funk is the man.
Great to see you. But yeah, so I like you said, I'm gonna just leave it like where you said it, because it was perfect. I just hope.
I hate this topic. It makes me so mad.
I know, I do too. I feel so crazy when we talk about it, because I'm just like, how much damage was just done, to our children, like the children of this country. Like, it's just, we need asylums. We not just asylums. We need mental health facilities popping up all over. We need a huge initiative. Like, I'm not even kidding anymore, you guys. We have so many people out there that are just walking the streets that are just not well. They're losing it. They can't just like run around on these medications that they're maybe not taking, maybe, whatever. Like, we really need to, we have a lot to clean up. It's not good. But yeah, something else that's...
Yeah, I'm like talking about cleaning up.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got our next one from ABC News. So the Gaza-Egypt border crossing at Rafah partially reopens after more than 2 years. So the crossing had been completely closed to Palestinians in Gaza since May of 2024. So the crossing between Gaza and Egypt has reopened to limited pedestrian traffic, Israeli authorities confirmed on Monday. The reopening is the first step in implementing the second phase of President Trump's Gaza peace plan. The crossing has been completely closed to Palestinians in Gaza since, okay. Egypt has not allowed unfettered access to its territory through the crossing. Following the arrival of the EUBAM teams on behalf of the European Union, the Rafah crossing has now opened to the movement of residents for both entry and exit. An Israeli security official told ABC News. The first group of Palestinians returning from Egypt has arrived in the Gaza Strip. Khalid Megawer, Egypt's North Sinai Governor General said 50 Palestinians were expected to cross into Egypt on Monday. Raed al-Nems, a Palestinian Red Crescent Society spokesperson, told ABC News that a total of 15 Palestinians, including 5 Palestinian patients and 10 relatives, left Gaza via the Rafah crossing on Monday. The health situation in Gaza is extremely dire, he said, calling on international organizations and the National Gaza Administration Committee to pressure Israel to allow a larger number of patients to travel abroad for treatment. On Sunday night, the Israeli army released video and pictures of a new Israel Defense Forces security checkpoint it will use for Gazans entering Rafah. In a statement, the IDF said forces have completed in recent days the reestablishment of the Regavim designated checkpoint, which is managed by the security establishment in the area under IDF control. The security establishment forces at the checkpoint check the identities of those entering against lists approved by the Israeli security establishment and carry out a strict inspection of their luggage. Israel said it will approve the names of all Gazans entering or leaving the area according to terms reached under Trump's 20-point peace plan. So Trump is winning.
Mm-hmm.
The Egyptian Ministry of Health announced Monday that 150 hospitals and approximately 300 ambulances were ready to receive injured and wounded Palestinians. About 22,000 injured Gazans need medical evacuation, a Hamas spokesperson said on Sunday. On the other side of the crossing, about 10,700 Palestinians who have been evacuated to seek treatment outside Gaza through the World Health Organization will return to the territory after their treatment. So that's great and everything. I mean, it's always sad to see
the innocent ones.
Yeah, people suffering and stuff, but like a Hamas spokesperson, like
I know.
Yeah, no. And you know, the only reason all those people are sick and injured is because of their complete and utter lack of humanity, just using all these people as meat shields and hiding amongst them to continue their terrorism. So like, I feel bad for the people, but I don't feel bad for the people either, because you know, they I don't know. I feel like there was more resistance that these people could have had. Now, I don't know their situation. Obviously, you know, I'm thinking about it from my house, my comfort, all that stuff. I don't know what it's like for them over there, but I just feel like if I am in a home and like 10 dudes show up and tell me that I have to do what they say, like, nah,
you're an
bro.
American with 2A. It's different.
Well, even saying that I don't have 2A, right? Because I do have weapons. I'm not very good with them. So, you know, let's say I can't run and get my gun. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I'm like, hell no, bro, dude. I mean, they're gonna use my shit anyways. But I'm not gonna be a part of it. Like, I'd rather just, you know, and keep my moral high ground than to be forced into doing things, especially against my country and people, you know, because clearly these terrorists don't care about you. And it was evident. They're hiding in hospitals, they're hiding in schools, and then when they get blown up, then they're like, oh, our citizens, shut up, man. Like,
yeah, so, I mean, like the terrorists, some of their tactics you've mentioned, like the meat shield thing. But also, it's not like they'll come to the person and say, do what I say or I'm going to shoot you. It's do what I say or I'm going to kill your entire family.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's not, it's like if you had to stand up and like put your life on the line for it, like for to, you know, to say forget myself, whatever, I'm not going to do this, that's one thing. But like they don't use that because they know a lot of people will say, you know, whatever, kill me, like that's fine. But when they say I'm gonna shoot your entire family and make you watch, and
Yeah.
then I'm gonna make you do what I want you to do anyway, it's, you know, it's a really really screwed up situation. But like,
Yeah.
you know, the people that are calling for the floodgates to open a lot more, like you got to think about Egypt. Like Egypt is agreeing to take in these people for care, right? They have
Yeah.
to have the resources just like anything else. Like they have ambulances, hospitals, doctors, all on standby to receive the people. So they have to do it in some kind of manner. They have to make sure who's coming across. There's people with dual citizenship, you know, that might have an easier time of it. There's people that just have citizenship, you know, to remain in Gaza. So there's like a lot of things of like whether or not you go in and then you can come back out. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of pieces to this. And, you know, the media is going to just say like, you know, bleeding heart, they should let everybody in. But it's like, you let them all in to do what? Are like doctors don't grow on trees? You know, all this stuff doesn't grow on trees. Like you have to have it ready and available to actually take care of these people properly.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem too, is that they all say like give, but you know, the United States was the one that was doing the most giving. And unfortunately we took in so many refugees when a lot of places did not. Like Egypt refused. They were like, hell no, we're not taking any Palestinians. You know why? Why is
They
that?
didn't want they didn't
Those
want
are your
all
homies, dude. You're all like Muslim. You're all, you know, those are your homies, like your neighbor, like literally your neighbor. And you guys are like, hell no, because they know how destructive these people are. Everywhere they go, they cause
and who could
destruction.
sneak in with them. And yeah.
Yes, and so you know, if they're gonna start demanding that the U.S. has to pay for them, I think not. I think they need to put their money where their mouth is, especially with all the money that we gave, all the money that it cost us, and then they turned around and they used all that for fraud. So, you know, I'm like, oh no, dude, we're done. Like I've got like Gaza fatigue. Like I really don't care. I'm glad that Trump's plan is working because it's another win for Trump where, you know, it just like burns the britches off like, you know, liberals and Democrats because they hate any success that he has, which makes me happy. But, you know, other than that, I could care less what happens in Gaza. Like, yay.
And this is all part of being like part of these, you know, organizations like NATO and whatnot. You know, it's like it constantly is like forcing us because we're going to have to deal with it at some point because of our pledge. We're going to have to deal with it monetarily. We're going to have to deal with it this day. So we have to be proactive and da, 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 da. Like that's why it's like we really need to remove ourselves from all of this.
Yes.
But you know, I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but we'll see. I mean, he's removing funding from these refugee programs with the UN and everything. So, you know, we'll see little by little. I guess you also have to do little by little too, because unfortunately, you know, our media and everybody else is holding American people hostage with, you know, with the rhetoric that they're doing and radicalizing people in our own country against us for different things. So like, you know, you have to, even though it's like you don't want mob to be ruling your opinion, you got to also like do it little by little too, because you don't want like all out freaking mayhem, you know, going.
That's
you have to
true.
step. Oh, I'm with you, girl. I have fatigue about all this too. I'm just like, bro. But let's before we go on to you know, our favorite part of the show and everything. Like we have some things to talk about. This one is really tragic, and if you guys have been on X all day and you heard this story, no matter, you know, however you feel about, you know, whatever this is sad, you know, this is really sad. So coming to you from NBC News, disappearance of Today co-anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother being investigated as a crime. Nancy Guthrie's home is being treated as a crime scene. she's 84 years old. I'm not going to talk about her in a past tense because we don't know yet, but was last seen Saturday night in her home outside Tucson, according to a missing persons flyer. She was reported missing by her family around noon Sunday, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano said. Said, we do in fact have a crime scene. We do in fact have a crime, Nano said at the news press conference today. Later adding, she did not leave on her own. We know that. So there's a couple of things that are really concerning. Nanos did not provide additional details on the investigation, though he noted law enforcement officials are reviewing video from cameras at Nancy Guthrie's home, where she lives alone, employs staff. The sheriff urged neighbors to go through their Ring cameras too. He said search and rescue personnel who fanned out across the area Sunday had been sent home, adding that right now we don't see this as a search mission as much as we do a crime scene. It's really, really sad. My heart goes out to the Guthrie family because and you know what's crazy too? The lady, her mother, there's a picture of her and she's with a cane, and it's like, I mean, I'm not trying to make this about me at all, but it's just like the cane, my mother has the exact same cane. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know, just like rips your heart out. So investigation, it's still active. Sheriff Nanos, he's inferring there are suspicious details that tell law enforcement that she did not leave on her own, but they're not giving any details. He's being very, very specific about not giving details. And, you know, a lot of people wonder, I was wondering about it too, but I was watching a video where FBI agent was commenting on this, and she was saying like, either former FBI, sorry, don't quote me on that, you know, her status about that, but she was basically saying that you can really mess up an investigation. I've heard people say that as well, but she said, like, you know, sometimes you give details out and then you have all of these people that are coming forward and giving false details. It floods the airways. It breaks up the manpower, and that makes a whole ton of sense, because if you give the details, then they could be like, yeah, I was the one who broke that cup, and you know, all this other kind of stuff. So that's another thing. And because they're not really saying like what they saw in this home as to why they feel like it's a crime scene, it could be something like I just said, like a broken cup maybe on the floor, or a chair that was knocked over. I know they said the front door was wide open. She left her ID. So now this is the weird thing. She left her ID, her phone, her keys, and her purse. Now, I don't know if they left it out just because they felt like it was like obvious. Like if you say she didn't have her purse, she didn't have her wallet, and if she didn't have her ID, she didn't have her wallet. But isn't it weird that they didn't say wallet? It could, like, what if the people that took her is taking her, you know, some people are talking about possibility of ransom because her daughter is a high profile figure, obviously makes a ton of money. Maybe they wanted to take her to the bank, get her to take some money out. You know, it could be somebody that knows, you know, she has staff. And this is another thing that the FBI agent said is like, you know, I don't want to point fingers at people, but I've worked with the Bureau for a long time. And a lot of the times when you go to these places where people commit fraud or they kidnap somebody to steal their money, some of their family members, the criminal family members, are home healthcare workers or caregivers, or they, you know, they work in people's homes. So like, you know, not saying that the caregiver is at fault or anything like that. We don't know anything yet, but it could be like, what if the caregiver comes home and says, you know, I took her to shopping today and she spent like $1,000 like it was nothing. Like, and the person who's in the family goes, wow, that's a lot of money. I wonder how much we can get. Like if we do, you know, so that's a possibility. But then some people are saying maybe not, because if it was something about money or ransom, they might have asked for that yet. But think about this, and this is the tragic part of it. She was on medication that if you don't take it within a certain amount of time, like you have to take it, it could be fatal. So she didn't have that with her. So what if they took her thinking they were going to hold her for ransom, and then God forbid there was a medical emergency and she passed away? And now they're like, they don't want to come. They're not even going to ask for the money anymore. You know, like they're scrambling, trying to figure it out.
that's not like the first time that we hear of something like that happening either. And I think, what was it? All the conspiracies around the, what was it, the Lindbergh baby? You know, all that stuff, like stuff like that is plausible, and I believe it does happen. It's not like a bad intent, but also maybe there was something more to it, because I don't really follow her. I don't really watch any mainstream media of any kind, but maybe she pissed someone off too, and it was like a something to retaliate, because that does seem really suspicious that she didn't take anything with her and she just disappeared. So I think it's possible that maybe she wanted to report on something or say something that someone didn't approve of, because you know, with media, especially these big companies, you don't just get to say what you want to say. It has to be approved. You have scripts written, you know, and maybe she went against her boss in something, or I'm such a conspiracy theorist.
No, but like you have to, and
over.
I imagine like the FBI and like the people around it, like surrounding this case, have to think about all of these things, you know?
Yes,
like they're definitely asking Savannah Guthrie right now, probably like over the past few months, over the past year, has anybody like threatened you? If you received anything,
do you have any enemies?
Need to see it. We got to look at it. We got to look into this, you know, a lot of that. And
that's
another thing,
right.
And another thing to note is, which a lot of people are making note of this, and I think it's really important, because when you think of an elderly person, you think of, you know, cognitive abilities, and that maybe she just kind of wandered off. But there is a couple of things with that. One, she couldn't really move very far on her own strength because she had mobility issues. But two, she also didn't have any known cognitive issues, no dementia, no any of that stuff. So she, like everybody keeps saying, like she was sharp as a tack. So it's like she wouldn't have just like, you know, followed a butterfly down the street and then ended up in a creek. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but like that, like that's not what that people don't think that that's what happened. And it seemed like the sheriff, when he was talking, like he was a really genuine guy, you know, and like he really like wears his heart on his sleeve. And he was like, he was like stuttering a lot because he didn't want to mess up the case that they're trying to build and trying to find, you know, trying to see what happened to her. But he was just like, there is a lot for us to say that this is a crime scene, you know, and that's really sad. But I just have like one question though, like high profile person, mother, even if you're not a high profile person, like random people have Ring cameras. The front door is wide open. Were they masked up, these people? Like you couldn't really tell who they were? Like they have to have some kind of video footage and saw what happened. Like that saw that she was pulled out. But they're really just like pulling everything close to the chest. They're not saying whether, like they don't want to infer anything about what they found. So they must have seen her get taken, I think. I mean, come on. She had cameras all over her home. She had staff, you know, she had people probably gardening and, you know, people cleaning her home and stuff like that. She lived alone. I think her husband, Savannah Guthrie's father, passed away when Savannah was like 16. So she lived all alone. She had staff with her. And they said that she was at like a church function on Saturday night and she was dropped off by her friends. She was with family, whatever. And then she was supposed to go to church Sunday morning and she didn't show up. And then, you know, the church goers, they were, you know, worried about her. So they called the family and then they went to the home. And that's when they realized that they needed to find out what happened. So I think that there was a lot going on in that house that they saw. And that's why they're so adamant about saying this is a crime scene and not a missing person. And that's really terrible. That's really sad. I don't know if we're gonna have a happy ending to this. That's really terrible, especially even if, God forbid, like, I mean, so even if they found her, like, I don't know, they never said like what kind of medication she's on, but she can be on blood thinners, she could be on heart medicine, she could be on so many things that you have to take every day. You can't not take this medicine, you know? So So anyway, like I said, prayers go out to the Guthrie family and everybody who knows her, who might be hurting right now, definitely hurting right now when we're talking about. It's just, I don't even know what to say. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
She left her keys, everything. I mean, but you know what they are? They employed a lot of like technology. I think they said license plate. I think they did something that was I never heard of before. They used the FLIR at night for heat seeking. So I guess it's like kind of like I guess it's like Predator, right? Like when you see like the heat signals, stuff like that. License plate readers. FBI has been brought in. Oh man, it's just terrible, man. I feel like we're gonna wake up tomorrow because there's like time is kind of running out on this. And we're gonna hear some really terrible news. I hope not. But all right, so why don't we move on to is it that time? Do we have time for the next article, or should we just go to the game?
I think we should just jump right into the game.
All right. Come on, Brian, bump us. Brian.
We're like,
I know. I want to like make it happen. Maybe I need to like wiggle my nose a little bit.
Can you? I can't.
I can't. Oh. Yep. Okay, so that's definitely everybody in the South pissed off at Phil for giving us 6 weeks more of Windsor.
I don't know. I think Phil's on crack because over here in West Texas, we're actually looking at Saturday. It's supposed to be almost 80 degrees, which is, I don't ever remember any day in February ever being close to 80 degrees. So I think Phil's smoking something, or yeah, he's wrong. And then there was like some possum or something. The possum said it didn't see its shadow, so we weren't. And I'm like, that is like the most American thing. Like, why do we do a groundhog? We should really do a possum. It's more America.
America. Yeah, wait, so it's 17 degrees, but we went up to like 30 and we've been in the teens and like the single digits for a minute. But tomorrow the low is 6 degrees and the high is 31. Like, I'm so done with it. I'm so done. But this is like the time of year where everybody gets sick, because the weather is just bipolar. But yeah, so if you guys are new to the show, this is called Caption This. This is a game we play at the end of every Sunset Ranch show. We have an AI generated photo here for you, as you can see up on the screen. And we ask you, the audience, to please participate and give us some funny captions. Dee and I will vote on the funniest one at the end to get the winner. So caption us, people. Give us some goods. Is there an instant win condition tonight, Brian? Yes. Okay. So there's an instant win condition. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically whoever comes the closest to the prompt that was actually used to generate this AI image, you automatically win for that. So why is Brian trying to shoot the groundhog? Because he's pissed about the weather.
Thinking, like kill the groundhog.
Somebody been watching First 48? Yeah. Actually, I was watching Nancy Grace earlier. She was all over this, talking about it. Nearsighted hunting clubs scoped shotgun jamboree. Nearsighted. I just got that. Scoped shotgun. That's funny. And I don't really know much about guns, but that made me laugh. because I understood like all of it, like what he's trying to say. Winter is so best. Give her
let's see.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are like, I like yours so much. I don't even know what to. Let's see.
Okay. Phil had a death wish this year. That was mine.
Nice. He's like, I'm going to tell y'all I'm going to give you 6 more weeks of winter and you're going to do nothing about it. I'm going to brush it off.
Yeah, like I'm going to go back in my hole or my tree or whatever and
let y'all freeze.
Yeah.
Imagine if like Punxsutawney Phil, because he's like the most popular one, I think. I don't know if I'm biased because I'm on the East Coast, but like imagine if he actually did control the weather and we were like standing around him and like some like you know pleading with him to stop the winter. And he's like, I want you to get me this, and this. Anybody want a new hat? Funkmaster General, representatives from the East Coast met with Punxsutawney Phil today to discuss the upcoming weather. Yeah. Pretty much.
Hold on, I got a good one.
But like he doesn't even like come out and like look around and stuff and like see a shadow and run back in. Like
no,
they just say
it.
Yeah, like they just like hold him up and they're just like he saw his shadow. Like you're lying. Like how do we know what he did? Like I wish it was just like a little more, but he would probably go and like try to eat stuff. Like it wouldn't probably work out. But like I want to hear from Punxsutawney, like the groundhog. Like what does he have to say about all this? Is he being parroted? Smoke the rodent.
It's another one. Dinner is coming up. I'm serving for dinner. Or smoke the rodent.
Corporal.
We had similar thoughts, Brian.
Phil, I'm trying to advocate for you, man. I'm so sorry. You gotta like tell them like you don't want to do this job anymore. That's like one of the things though, like I would be so sad if like they stopped doing this. You just even though it's like so silly and we're like, yeah, we know it's freaking everything is frozen. But it's like I would be sad if we didn't have it. But like if you ever seen the movie, like he's like we gotta take out. Yeah.
You know what? That was a great movie too.
I love it.
Groundhog Day.
I love it. He's like, it's the groundhog. I gotta get rid of the groundhog. That's it. That's gonna change everything. Like that's where we are. Where is he?
I know, right? I thought so too. Groundhog, the other white meat.
Nice. Has anybody like? Do people eat groundhog? Like, is it like a delicacy? Like people eat squirrels?
I'm pretty sure there's someone that loves just get a little leg and
I think that I had frog legs before. It is meat. Yeah. I had frog legs and I had gator nuggets when I went to
Ew, you ate the gator's nuggets?
No. I better not have. I hope that's not what that was. I don't think so.
Biddy.
I don't know.
That is now a trans gator. Good job.
Wow. I need to find him. How could I? I have to go to the swamp and repent. Wait.
His little nuggets.
They were really little. So I don't think he'd mind. He
didn't even notice. It's okay.
No. They were really good.
Oh,
they were
my
good.
Gosh.
Was it Gainesville? Yeah, it's like swamp area over there, and I was like, I'm going to try it because I'm never going to try it anywhere else except for the place where they make it all the time.
Rebel had raccoon.
Is this a State Farm commercial?
I think Brian highlighting that means that I won.
Groundhog, the other white meat. Yeah.
Did I win, Brian?
I should have stayed in bed.
Okay, Brian just made the executive decision. He said that I won.
Congratulations, D! The other white meat.
Yeah.
I know it's from a movie too, like when he goes the other, and I can't remember what movie that's from. That's great. Congratulations, girl.
Woo! I finally won one. Damn.
We got to get like the applause, like the celebration soundbite. We're working on it.
Yes.
We're going to get that. But yeah, thank you guys as always for submitting all the captions. I love this part of the show because, like, you know, we have to talk about, I'm like a broken record. We have to talk about like all this like sad stuff, and it's really good to do at the end. So thank you guys as always for joining us. Happy Monday. You got through it. If you want to follow the show, you can do that on X at @TheRealRoma_AK. You can follow me on X if you like, Elizabeth213A. You can follow D on X as well, Cynical Latina. And she's like way more active. She's like all day, all night. I don't even know if you sleep, girl. Because sometimes, and I'm like doing the math because I'm like, I wake up at like 6 a.m. and I'm like, wait, let's say 4 hours. I'm like, wait, does she sleep? I'm like, she's like posting all of these things.
No, I go to
like
bed
with
like
all
at
of
2 or
this
3 in the
stuff,
morning
I'm like,
sometimes.
damn, yeah.
Yeah,
But
then
yeah,
I usually
so definitely
get up
follow her.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I get up like about 7 to go to school. So it does suck when I go to bed at 3 and then get up at 7 to go to school.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually I go to bed like around 2, I think. Yeah, around.
That's not so bad. I usually by like 12:30, I'm done. I'm ready to go to bed. Sometimes I'm up to like 1 or 2 when I can't turn my brain off. But like for the most part, I'm like 12:30. I'm like out. But yeah, thank you guys as always. Like I said, thank you for joining us. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you always know when we go live. And don't forget, tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye.
So I got to thinking, there's MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. MAGA, Make America Great Again. But what we really need to do is make America follow the Constitution again. Motherfucker. That sounded better in my head.